We're excited about the progress that we've made and that we're going to continue to make going forward. If you do well with the education, a lot of the other things later on down the line can sort themselves out much easier. I think that the times where students don't have adequate pathways, well, they grow up. I mean, what are they going to do? So we have a big responsibility to continue to make this a front burner issue. And oh, by the way, we've also been very, very clear, not just in rhetoric, but also in law, that the parents in Florida have a fundamental role in the education and upbringing of their kids. You as a parent have a right to know what curriculum is being used in your kid's school. You have a right to be involved in the things that are going on, and if a school district is not following the law or state standards, you should have recourse to make sure that they come in compliance with that. And we think that's very important. Honestly, if you go back even 10, 15 years ago, would anyone have even disagreed with that? Now you see an impulse where they say, parents, you're not qualified to be able to be involved. And some people say that parents should basically be shut out of really having any meaningful involvement. We reject that here in the state of Florida. First of all, the teachers want parents involved because the students are going to perform better if the parents are interested in what's going on. So anybody that tells you like somehow that's an intrusion is not. I mean, I think you talk to most teachers, they welcome parents to take an interest in what's going on. The only people that don't want the parents involved are those that want to use the school system to impose some type of agenda on the students because they know the parents aren't going to want that. And so if the parents are involved, they're going to throw a red flag, and then they're not going to be able to do it. So that's why they don't want the parents involved. We want the parents involved. We think it's very, very important, and we've provided substantive protections for the rights of parents here in the state of Florida. So this is a great, this will be a great day when they finalize these two rules here in Northwest Florida with the Board of Education, and it's also going to be great to be able to bring these other initiatives across the finish line when the legislature meets next. So before I depart, we want to hear from some other folks. So I have our Commissioner of Education, Manny Diaz, is here.
Thank you, Governor. And I got to tell you, this is the education governor. I spent 10 years in the legislature before taking this position to work with the governor and working on education reform. And what you have done, what you have led on in the last few months, it's just so hard to keep up with him, to be honest with you, because he's really, really doing it. And it's really, he's the education governor, but you can see the focus he's had on our military and our veterans and how Florida values that. And this all melts together here today because you can see a pragmatic approach to the reality that what you learn in school at the university level doesn't always apply. I can tell you I took a non-traditional route to become a classroom teacher, and when I didn't really learn what I was doing until they handed me those keys and that book, and I went into that classroom to face those students, and that's how I got better because I actually had to do it. Everything that you learned in school you kind of put aside and you have to attack the problem. But you're look at the pathways that just make pragmatic sense. To have somebody oftentimes that is already at a school working in another capacity be able to enter an apprenticeship and work with a mentor teacher to really hone those skills while they get their degree really puts a real effect in our classrooms that helps our kids. To have credentials available with the scholarship to create more dual enrollment opportunities for our students, especially in rural districts where they may not have as much access to a state college or university. It's incredible to be able to do that. And also the recruitment bonus. I mean, to get the military and veterans into the classroom, to get law enforcement and first responders into the classroom, these are people that have real world experience and can really contribute to our classroom, to our students. And I commend the governor for putting our students first and blocking out all the noise, all the negativity, and going forward with a mission that we're going to make life better for our students and improve our state. As the governor mentioned, we're going to be doing a couple of rules today here in Pensacola at the state board. And to let you know that, Governor, that the military veteran certification pathway, the rule will be passed today, hopefully. We already have 215 veterans that have applied, and this has only been around for a couple of weeks, so that's incredible. With that, to honor our veterans and military personnel as well, that really ties into the heroes bonus and ties into the military pathway, is these folks in the military get real training, real life training they have to implement. And to be able to have our state colleges provide credit for that real life training and have them be able to do things with the skills they have learned, whether it's welding, auto mechanics, carpentry, any of the skills, computer information, all of that, and have credit to that, because that helps, that leads those individuals to be able to go down the military pathway. And it's really about putting our students first and having the best person in the classroom, not worrying about how they got there, but the skills they bring and the personality. And at the end of the day, with all the critics, I'll tell you this, we trust our professionals at the district, we trust our superintendents, we trust our principals to select individuals that fit in the classroom, that will do a good job. Just because they went through one of these pathways doesn't mean they automatically get in. So I want to remind folks that there's a selection process. This really provides us options, and I want to thank the governor for being the education governor and continue to lead our state. Thank you, Governor.
Okay, Joe Marino, Executive Director of Veterans Florida.
Thank you, Governor, Commissioner, and Representative, for having us this morning. My name is Joe Marino. I'm the Executive Director of Veterans Florida. We are a state-created nonprofit which assists veterans who are transitioning within the state as well as across the country to move to Florida, find new careers, or start and grow their entrepreneurial endeavors. So this is right within our wheelhouse. I'm an Army veteran, West Point grad. Sorry, Navy town. I knew that would start it. And let me just tell you, I served with the most dedicated Americans you can imagine when I was in uniform. The adaptability, the creativity, the loyalty, the mission-oriented focus. We want that in the classroom. And this pathway is going to allow more veterans to come in who, while they might not have a full 4-year degree, as the governor mentioned, they're getting life experience. And in the meantime, they're still taking time out of their busy military career to get at least 60 hours or an associate's degree. Don't we want these folks in the classroom with our students? So I don't want to take up too much time because I want to hear from the veteran teacher himself. But thank you. We're really thrilled. We are currently part of the team that will probably implement this once, and hopefully if the rule passes. We have a skill bridge program. Those in this town are probably familiar with that. I won't get into the details. The governor signed it last year. We have a FHP, Florida Highway Patrol MOU, and we are bringing in troopers in training from all over the country to Florida. It's exciting, and we can do the same thing for teachers.
All right, Dr. Lee Hale, Assistant Superintendent, HR, Okaloosa County School District.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning. My name is Dr. Lee Hale. I am the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources in Okaloosa County, a school district just about 45 minutes east of here. I would like to thank... Absolutely, absolutely. I would like to thank Commissioner Diaz, Superintendent Smith, Okaloosa Superintendent Chambers, and of course the Governor for having me here today to express my excitement over this new measure for veterans. You know, it's a pleasure to be here just a stone's throw from the Pensacola Naval Air Station, but my home, Okaloosa County, might be the most protected piece of real estate in the world, being home to the largest Air Force base in the world, Eglin Air Force Base, along with Duke Field, Hurlburt Field, the 7 Special Forces, a Ranger recruitment station, as well as the 8th District for the Coast Guard. So we're very, very proud of our military folks in our area. It only makes sense that not only having such a military presence, but also having such a magnetic part of the world with the emerald waters and the white sands, that people do call this their forever home, just as you mentioned earlier, Governor. And so we do have a significant number of qualified veterans that can contribute to our school districts, and we're very excited about that. Veterans represent some of the smartest, most capable, experienced individuals our country has to offer. And in Okaloosa County, we are proud to have many, many veterans already working in our schools and with great success. Our veteran teachers bring so much to the table: experience, leadership, discipline, an understanding of protocol and procedure, patriotism, which is very important, and an appreciation for service. They demonstrate it every single day in our classrooms. They know that the students they teach are the future of our country, and they take that fact and their responsibility very seriously. Our veterans are a critical part of our instructional staff in Okaloosa. This new certification path will provide a wonderful enticement to the other veterans who are around, seeking a new career path that's rooted in the values that are part of their personal fabric, things like personal enrichment, service before self, teamwork, integrity. And I'm very blessed. I was not aware that all these uniforms were going to be around me today, but I feel much safer and very proud to be among them here today as well. This measure is an acknowledgement of their service, their life of protecting our freedoms as they seek to embark on a new way of positively impacting our country through Florida's public education system. It just makes all the sense in the world. Extending just a bit of grace and time to complete the requisite tasks that are associated with teacher certification is just one way to extend our gratitude for the sacrifices of not only our veterans, but their families that they've all made for us. And the benefits to our school districts, as we seek to fill these critical vacancies, these critical shortages with great people, well, those benefits to the districts are just innumerable. And our students are going to ultimately be the benefactors of this measure. And by the way, I did watch the press conference yesterday. I'm quite interested in the recent announcements that you made, Governor, about the incentives for the first responders who might want to become teachers, as well as incentives for our experienced teachers who might seek to improve themselves through advanced degrees to help through the dual enrollment programs and things like that. Very interested to see how that pans out, so I appreciate that as well. I'd like to thank Governor DeSantis for making all this possible, being the champion for education that you are, sir, and for investing in our schools. And I'd like to encourage all those veterans in Florida who are seeking to make a difference in the life of students to call your local school district and ask us just how we can assist you in this new and most rewarding career choice. I know that we in Okaloosa, as well as my colleagues here in Escambia and all across the Panhandle, are standing by waiting for your call, but not standing by much because our phone is already ringing off the hook, sir.
Okay, now for Director of West Florida High Schools Critical Care and Emergency Medicine Academy, Terry Thomas.
I'm very thankful. What am I thankful for? I'm thankful I joined the United States Air Force in 1978. I'm thankful I became a firefighter in the United States Air Force. I'm thankful that during my period of enlistment, I became an EMT, I became an intermediate EMT, and I became a paramedic and finished paramedic school 3 months after I separated from the Air Force. I also went to rescue school when I was in the Air Force. Then I went to registered nursing school as I finished 3 years of volunteer firefighting in Allentown, just north of here. Okay, so for 24 years in one capacity or another, I worked in those jobs. I've been an emergency room nurse. I worked 6 years in a trauma intensive care unit. I did 6 years of home health. I did 4 years of outpatient chronic hemodialysis, which is unusual to say the least. But that's what I've done. And then I was notified that there was a job at Pensacola High School in the Health Academy. And I said, well, I've done a lot of teaching. You know, paramedics and registered nurses and firefighters are teachers too. You're always teaching families, but I'd never taught children, so I went and I got the job. And I showed up, and the first little girl in my class, I'm teaching her son right now. And but she was sitting in my very first class. I walked into that podium and did whatever I did, and in just a few minutes she raised her hand and said, "Mr. Thomas." That was unusual. Nobody ever called me Mr. Thomas. And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "Have you ever taught before?" And I said, "No, I've taught adults. I've done this, that, and the other." And she goes, she looked at her classmates like that, and she goes, "We could tell." And she said, "Don't worry, we'll take care of you." And they did. They did. They took care of me, and they taught me how to teach. It was just amazing what happened that year. So I'm thankful for the opportunity to be a recipient of the program that you're proposing. I came to Escambia County. They looked at my background, and they said, okay, we'll take a chance on you. And they let me start teaching in Escambia County. I went to the alternative certification program at the University of West Florida. I got all the teaching requirements as far as education goes that I had to have, and so I'm locally certified in Escambia County, and I'm thankful for that. The academy at West Florida High School where I teach, in the end, I've pushed out over 600 seniors over the last, this is my 20th year now. And they can be certified as an EKG technician. So I teach them how to read an EKG. Seniors in high school know how to read an EKG and tell you if you're having a heart attack or not. They can get their emergency medical responder certificate. They can become certified clinical medical assistants. They just have to pass the test. And this year, the first year, they can become an EMT in high school. So we're associating with George Stone. They're going to list me as a co-instructor, and I'll be able to teach all the didactic and theory in school. And then they go to a little summer camp right after they graduate. They've already done their clinicals. They ride an ambulance with the Escambia County EMS for 36 hours, and when they come back to school, their eyes are that big because of the things they do and see. So I'm thankful for this program, and I'm thankful for the kids that I've been able to learn from and to teach. So thank you very much.
Well, we're excited. We're excited about the rules today. We're excited about our proposals going forward, and we're always excited anytime we can make it back to Escambia County. And so with that, I could take a question or two. Yes, sir?
Governor, across the country, the teaching profession is being criticized for low pay, lack of support. Why should our military members want to teach here in Florida?
Well, you raise an issue with the pay, which we obviously have been sensitive to. That's why we put so much money into it, record amount of money in the state of Florida, and telling the districts you've got to use it to increase pay. Because there's a lot of other things you can spend money on, and I'm not saying that there aren't things that are meritorious, but if you can get somebody that's really talented to be a teacher, that supersedes all the other factors because they're going to be able to inspire the students. So we've done a lot on the teacher pay to now make us #1 in the Southeast for average minimum. So if you're somebody who is in the Navy here or in the Air Force over at Okaloosa and you're getting out, you can now go in and start, and you're going to be better than any other state in the Southeast right off the bat. And so we think that that's good. And then obviously you'll get a bonus on top of that. Now, I do think that there's been problems with some of the stuff. Some of it was during the COVID on how these schools handled and the states handled this. The unions wanted the schools closed. They sued me in Florida to close the schools in the summer of 2020. Most teachers in Florida wanted to be back in the classroom because they understood how important it was. I mean, think about it. The union was suing me to try to get the schools closed because they were saying teachers are not essential. I think most teachers think they are essential. And it's like, if you can just do this on Zoom, then why do we build all these schools? Of course you need to be in the classroom. It was such a no-brainer. But I think that really hurt morale around the country because you basically had governors and mayors and unions saying, you can lock kids out of school for a year, just put them on a screen, and it's fine. And you actually had some of these public health bureaucrats saying, oh, yeah, keep them out. The kids are resilient. They'll be fine with it. Now, everyone's cataloging the damage that was done in all these other places. So I think it was really unfortunate how that happened in many parts of the country. I understand. I would be very frustrated too. So what we're trying to do in Florida, and that's when you're going with military, trying to get like some of our heroes in society, pointing them in the direction of being in our schools as teachers, we're saying we view that as a very valuable thing. We think it's important, and we think you can make a huge impact on folks. We're going to do more on the pay, and I'll have an announcement on that in the coming weeks, but nobody has delivered more for teacher pay than me in the history of this state. And this budget, to have $800 million categorical that has to go to that, and then also have big increase in our overall funding, that more districts can put even more money into it, and many of them have, that's a really, really big achievement, and it's something we're proud of. All right, everybody, thanks so much. God bless.
There are so many people to thank and recognize, but I'm told I have about 60 seconds. So know that you all are appreciated. If I can give back just a portion of what this program has given to me, I will call it a successful career. At this time, it is my distinct privilege to introduce a namesake for my fellowship program, and someone who I have grown to call mentor, friend, and even fraternity brother, Congressman Charles Rangel. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gerard. I hope that I'm coming through clearly from New York City. I hope so anyway. I can't tell you how excited I am about what's happening today. I first want to thank Secretary Blinken for restoring the confidence of our great country's reputation throughout the world. And I do hope that programs like this would be helpful to restore the great opportunities that Americans will have here as well as abroad. I want to thank Patricia Scroggs, Ambassador Perkins. A very special thanks to Ambassador Pickering, Ambassador Davis, and all of the dedicated public servants that have guided our young people into the Foreign Service. An opportunity that I am convinced will be one of the most exciting decisions that they've ever made. I joined the Congress in 1971, and before that, there was only 9 members of color in the House of Representatives. And when we did join, the 4 of us in 1971, and formed the Congressional Black Caucus, it was amazing how the handful of us, when we went abroad, that members of the U.S. Embassy, that is the staff members, could not believe that we were members of Congress, and far too often we were embarrassingly treated as staff of some congressmen. Everyone was not proud of the reputation that America's had in terms of racism, but few people understood that this country was the country that most everybody admired, respected, and wanted to become a part of. And the reason being is that only in this country can you be a part of making it a more perfect union. And the responsibility of doing that falls on Americans abroad, because you are representing the President of the United States and all of the wonderful things that we're trying to do to improve the quality of life for people all over the world. And so there's going to be times when you will be lonely, away from home, and would want to doubt the decision that you have made. But I tell you, like in every other worthwhile passion that you have in life, contribution you're making is not only appreciated by your family and your community and your country, but it is really to improve the situation we have in the country and to be able to say that you made your contribution your way. I wish so badly that I could be with you. I'm so proud of the path that you've taken, the work that you're doing, the support that you're getting, and to have our great Secretary of State to take the time to show his appreciation for the work that you're about to do makes me feel like a job well done. Thank you so much. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Hello, my name is Melanie Randall. I'm a Fay Fellow. I'm part of the second cohort that started in 2018. The Fay Fellowship has been a godsend to me and my daughter. I'd like to quickly tell you how I got here. I was a pastry chef for several years, and then in 2007, the global financial crisis hit. By 2008, the restaurant I was working at closed, and I lost my condo. A bit concerning. The challenge then was to focus on how to change from focusing on the perfect creme brulee to showing employers that I had transferable skills. Luckily, I was able to go to work back with REI while I figured out my next move. One of the great benefits of REI is you have this great crew of people that enjoy the outdoors. I joined a group that was training for the SDP. The SDP is a bike ride that goes from Seattle to Portland. So after riding 204 miles over 2 days, I received an aha moment. And that was that I was not living up to my potential. So within the month, I was back in school, working to get my bachelor's in IT. So while at the UW, the University of Washington in Seattle, I received this email about this great new fellowship program, the FAY program. So I applied, got the fellowship, it paid for my master's degree, and then I also got this wonderful career where I'm flying around the world doing work that I love. So the FAY Fellowship saw value in a single mom that was also a first-generation college student. I can't express how grateful I am. In addition to the exciting life I get to live, I have the respect and admiration of my daughter. After being accepted into the fellowship, I overheard her tell her friend, "See what you can do if you go for it?" When you're accepted as a Fay Fellow, you become part of a family. You don't have to go it alone. You have this great, the Fay team and your cohort that you go through orientation with, so that when you're done, you have this support that's available all of the time. Congratulations to the Fay team on the anniversary. You've changed my life, and I'll be forever grateful. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Karina Patel, and I'm honored to share my story with you today. I am a USAID Foreign Service Officer, first-generation American, and one of the very first alumni of the Donald M. Payne Fellowship Program. I am a child and grandchild of immigrants from rural India. My grandmother, who helped raise me, was pulled out of school and married off at age 10. My family survived grinding poverty, and along with it, food and housing insecurity. We had family members get sick with and die from preventable illnesses. I myself grew up a very sick child who almost didn't make it past stage 5. Growing up, I regularly witnessed gender-based discrimination and violence in my community. My family and I experienced xenophobia and racism that escalated after 9/11 and even forced us to move from our home after multiple attacks. In school, I was a sharp student who sometimes struggled to navigate life between cultures. After a brief rebellion in high school, my teachers even wondered if I would graduate. However, my family's story never let me forget how fortunate I was to be growing up and receiving an education in the United States. After all, just a few generations ago, I could have been drowned in milk for having been born a baby girl. I always felt a moral imperative to use my platform and my privilege for good. And I got to understand the power of this privilege as I taught my grandmother as a child to write her initials so she could exercise her rights and sign legal documents. I eventually did graduate high school, and I went on to college, where I learned about U.S. aid. I was immediately drawn to the work, which was deeply personal for me, given my family's roots in a developing country. I could see our journey reflected in USAID's work in health, education, economic growth, and so many other sectors. I tried applying for jobs at USAID, but I didn't have any luck using the traditional means. I was also a little torn given the fraught history of American foreign affairs agencies, which honestly didn't seem made for people like me. However, several years later, I applied for the Payne Fellowship, as I felt this agency could still benefit from my voice. I went on to become a USAID Foreign Service officer and served in short and long-term assignments around the world. I also went on to co-found USAID's Payne Fellowship Network Employee Resource Group, which is a counterpart to PERFA here at the State Department. And now I proudly serve in the Office of the Administrator, where I support USAID's Chief DEIA Officer in communicating why programs like Payne are essential to our work abroad. My background has facilitated my work in many ways. Having grown up between cultures, I was often able to connect with my counterparts overseas more easily than some of my Foreign Service colleagues. Faces around the world would soften and light up as I told stories of my family, our village in India, and the similarities between our cultures. Diplomacy became easier because we were bound by so many common threads. You're not like the other Americans, they would say. For many,
Вы считаете, что президент Трамп является конечной целью этого расследования? Я не буду комментировать расследование большого жюри. Как вы думаете, какова их конечная цель? Пока я не узнаю больше об этом, мне вам нечего дополнить. Руди Джулиани, личный адвокат президента Дональда Трампа, прибыл в здание суда Атланты в среду, чтобы предстать перед специальным большим жюри в связи с политическими преследованиями сторонников Трампа.
The Payne program is the reason that I and over 50 other Payne alumni now serve proudly as USAID Foreign Service officers. We represent this nation's rich diversity abroad and bring a vast array of skills and perspectives that USAID cannot do without. Programs like the Payne Fellowship are critical to the transformation of an agency that leads and shapes the broader international development sector. My grandmother didn't live to see me become the first woman in our family to graduate college and pursue her own career. And Congressman Donald M. Payne didn't get to see the very first Payne Fellows join USAID's Foreign Service. I ask that we honor their memory by intentionally investing in the long-term success of transformative programs like the Payne, Pickering, Rangel, and FAIT programs. Let's continue advancing support for these fellowships throughout our agencies and Congress. Let's give fellows high-quality experiences and first impressions of our organizations. And once they become FSOs, let's invest in their long-term retention and advancement so we can transform our agencies from the bottom to the top. And let's be willing to listen and learn from fellows' lived experiences so we can continuously enhance these programs for future cohorts. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you today, and again, happy anniversary to these 4 transformative programs.
Good morning. Well, I'm just inspired by our past 2 first, just spoke. That is really inspiring. My name is Hermes Couillon. I was a Rangel Scholar and a 2012 Pickering Fellow. I stand in front of you today as a proud first-generation college student, a son of Dominican immigrants who worked 2 jobs or more, often at minimum wage my entire childhood, a product of the New York City public school system, an adopted Hoosier after 4 formative years in a small rural town in Indiana. And I have the privilege of being the vice president of the Pickering and Rangel Fellowship Association. It is indeed an honor of a lifetime to serve this community, this family, and foster that sense of we-ness among us. I know each fellow brings their story, their community, and their values. To each fellow present, whether in this room or virtually, I want to thank you for each time you muster the courage to walk into a room and be authentically yourself. I know that is not easy, but it is a national security priority that you bring your voice and your experience to the table. You don't have to look too far for inspiration. Look at the name of the fellowship, Thomas R. Pickering. Ambassador Pickering held the rank of Korea Ambassador, served as Undersecretary for Political Affairs, and was a 7-time ambassador, leading our missions in Jordan, Russia, India, El Salvador, Israel, Nigeria, and the United Nations. And I'm sure it would have been a lot more if you had the opportunity. We are all part of his legacy. With that being said, please join me in welcoming Ambassador Pickering to the stage for his remarks and some words of